before we get into the video, I'd like to ask you to please go and subscribe and hit the bell icon so that way you know when a new video is uploaded. If you'd like to support my channel, please go and see my merchandise store that has all kinds of new stuff being put on there daily. I also have an Instagram as well as a few other social media sites if you'd like to check out to see what else I am doing. And let's get into the video. From AskReddit, Congoers and cosplayers, what are your cringiest and creepiest con experiences? I remember finding someone who was looking under everyone's skirt. He looked under mine. He had no idea I was a boy. He got thrown out. I cosplayed once, just once, in my entire life. I don't have a blog or an Instagram or a Twitter or any of that, so I'm not famous or known at all. In 2014, I cosplayed as George R.R. Martin. I had the same build, the same beard, and I found the same hat and glasses and black clothes that he always wears. At the convention, sure, I got tons of attention, but this one guy was convinced that I really was Martin himself. Oh my god, I love your books. And he begged me for an autograph. I tried telling him I'm not really him, but the guy just wasn't listening. His fanboy was so strong that logic had turned him off entirely. So I scribbled something that was 100% illegible and sent him on his way. At RuPaul's DragCon, during a panel, a fan read literally pornographic fan fiction out loud. Questions were opened up to the audience, and she read it to the actual drag queens in the fan fiction, despite them basically telling her no and pleading with her not to. It went on for a long time, and I can't fathom why anyone would think that was ever okay. This didn't happen to me, but I was an assistant volunteer coordinator for a small con that I frequently go to. To be honest, everyone kept calling me the head coordinator because I was literally doing the original coordinator's job. All he did was walk around the con with his girlfriend and was attending panels, making sure it was going okay, even though we had specific people for that. There was this guy who kept following these 3 girls around the con, and he would talk to them and try to get the girls into his hotel room for a bit of fun, saying he had drinks and anime for them to watch and maybe have some more fun along the way. He kept following them until the girls ran to the volunteer table and asked us to tell this creep to screw off. So naturally, we got to get our guy, who's security, but we can't call them that, Thor, who was this tall guy and intimidating as F, if you don't know him. Me, him, and 2 other people searched for the guy, and after about 30 minutes, the girls point out the guy, and loudly Thor goes, "Hey buddy, let's talk, because boy, do I have the great need to talk to you." He was eventually given a warning because the girls admitted they didn't specifically say, "Leave us alone," otherwise the hotel staff would have to get him kicked out, and he wouldn't be out of the con. It was day 1. Another one, at the same con, at the same night, a guy kept getting drunk at the hotel bar, fell off his seat, and hit his head on the chair next to him. Eventually, he tried going down the escalator, fell down, and ate crap. We told him to go home, sober up, but he kept insisting that he wasn't drunk and that he was fine. The next night, he was drunk again and tried getting into a late-night party. It's a rave, but we can't call it that now, can we? We kept telling him that he wasn't able to come back, and we revoked his badge, and he was very confused and angry and kept saying again that he was fine and wasn't drunk. Sure, dude. Your drunken slurring says otherwise. A few months ago, at the time of writing this, I cosplayed Shoto Todoroki at a convention that I've been going to frequently. For the entire day, a group of younger, about 10 to 13 I believe, cosplayers were following me and my friend around. She was cosplaying as Bakugo, and I guess they thought it was funny to see Todoroki and Bakugo hanging out together. They tried to get us to join their group, though they called it a cult and would scream at us every chance they got. Later in the day, there was a meetup, and me and my friend decided to go. Take a guess who else was there? That group of kids. They proceeded to scream at us, call us uncomfortable nicknames, and rang a bell in my ear. At the time, we had come to realize that one of our friends was missing, so I was pretty near having a panic attack. We did find our friend, but because of those kids, I do not want to wear another Boku no Hero Academia cosplay to a convention. That was uncomfortable and pretty cringy on their part. I cosplay a lot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure characters, and I usually get a lot of reactions because of it. Glad to see more people who love the series as much as I do. But I've never really had any creepy ones before this, until this happened. I was cosplaying Caesar and my friend was Joseph, when a guy with a fancy camera randomly approached us. He casually asked us for a picture and we both agreed. Everything was going a-okay until he mentioned that he hardcore ships Joseph and Caesar and wanted to see some thrusting. My friend and I looked at each other, immediately thought, no, and did a standard JoJo pose instead. The guy didn't seem to care that we posed normally instead of going through with his weird request, and walked off without saying anything. Taking a picture of this dude in a really nice cosplay, and then tagging him online to find his profile picture is a gif of his character bouncing his butt in a diaper. Our first year tabling at the artist alley at an anime con, there was this girl, probably 15 to 16, that wouldn't leave us alone. If you've ever tabled at a con or hung out at the artist alley, people, you know the type. Uninterested in what you're selling, just happy to have a captive audience so they can drone on and on about their project that they are never actually going to write about. But it's all there in their head. Will never take the hint that it's time to leave. She saw that we did commissions, and so she asked if we ever did non-safe for work commissions. My artist isn't super comfortable with drawing that kind of material, and she clearly looked underage, so we said no. She proceeded to keep needling us about it and seemed to notice that it made us uncomfortable. Well, this is clearly a reaction, which is all she's after, so she keeps on requesting increasingly screwed up commissions that we do our best to ignore while we desperately try to start a conversation with anybody else that will come within 10 feet of our table. By the time she's done, she has decided she really wants my artist friend to draw her the kids from Grave of the Fireflies screwing each other, and also one of them is eating the other one's intestines. Eventually, she decides she was bored and left. What makes the interaction stick out from other interactions with Booth Barnacles for me is the guy that was with her around the same age never said a word the whole time, but I could see in his eyes that he was deeply embarrassed by this girl's behavior and really just wanted to leave. I could just read the saddest short story in that kid's expression. He found the one girl in his social circle that was into anime, and he was just too socially awkward to realize that just because someone's into the same geeky stuff you are, doesn't mean that they're not going to be absolutely insufferable to be around. In retrospect, I really wanted to take that young man aside and just say, I don't know you, I don't know your life, but I'm just going to say right now, you can do better. Run. I was standing in the artist alley talking to some people at a booth about a character I was dressed as when some crazy person literally jumped on me from behind shrieking about some pretty cosplay, then grabbed my butt and ran away making bizarre noises. It was rather unsettling and pissed me off considerably. I went to my first ever convention at the age of 13. I didn't dress up or anything, I just wanted to take pictures of good cosplayers. My friend and I spotted a very handsome and flawless Moroku cosplayer, Inuyasha, as it was my favorite anime at the time, and I was ecstatic and my friend pushed me into his direction to take a picture with him. I scooted close to him and, staying true to the character, he groped my butt. It was the best day of my life. Years later, I realized how creepy it is to be 13 groped by a 20-year-old and have it be the highlight of my middle school days. Teenage Homestuck cosplayers laying in the middle of the hallways outright dry humping and making out, and when they're asked to move they make a huge just like shit fest about it, accusing the staff of being homophobic. Oh no, I got you. I worked as a vendor for many cons and I have several for Homestucks. My booth sells mostly female accessories, knee-high socks, bows, jewelry, and some male stuff I helped make, bow ties, top hats, wallets made for trading cards, and a group of Homestuck cosplayers came up by the booth and they touched a bunch of stuff to try it on. No worries, it happens. But they left their shitty gray makeup all over the stuff that was white because they wanted to dump their thumb seal paint. They cost us about $200 in merch that took us a week to clean off. We now tell Homestuck people no touch unless buy. The cringiest thing and the creepiest things I've ever seen at a con actually both happened at a local convention, held at a university. The cringiest one was a guy participating at a cosplay contest as his OC steampunk character, which would have probably been fine on its own if he didn't answer all the judges' questions on stage awkwardly in character. The creepiest thing I saw requires some context. When we were at the same contest, the winner was a guy who was clearly in his 30s or 40s, doing his own OC, which was a samurai with a mask covering his face. He talked to my GF and complimented her on her outfit, and he seemed pretty nice every time we talked to him. But a day after the con, we found out that they revoked his reward because they found out he was sexually harassing young girls earlier that night and registered for the con under a fake name. It was a local con, so most people there knew each other, but no one had any idea who this guy was. Used to date a cosplayer who took the hobby very seriously. In addition to making costumes for herself and others, she did cosplay photography for some money on the side. One time a guy who seemed pretty normal asked to take a few photos of her on the con floor. He seemed to know what he was doing, so they sat and talked shop for a while, ended up trading business cards, and then they went their separate ways. A few days later, she got a message from the guy offering to do a free photo shoot for her. Well, kinda. He was offering to do a free photo shoot of her feet, specifically. Gotta give him credit for being upfront about it, I guess. Not just an attendee, but a worker too. I do security for Comic-Cons here in the UK, usually the front of the house. While you'll talk to a few people, I'll talk to a few thousand. For me, the cringiest attendees are the ones who take the character they're cosplaying way too seriously. Going up to security officers and trying to roleplay with them. Bear in mind, a lot of the team is 40-something men that hate this stuff and are only there to get a paycheck. They fully expect us to understand all the fandoms and get confused and even annoyed that I don't know niche characters from weird anime. But the worst was when I had to queue control for a popular YouTube stand, Rooster Teeth. Kids being upset and angry that they couldn't meet their idols is fine. I get that. This one kid had a full-on mental breakdown in front of me. I say kid, but he was more like 15 or 16, stomping up and down in tears, yelling about how unfair it was he couldn't go in. He most likely had some sort of condition, but it was slightly a sight to behold, and one that put me off of working at Comic-Cons for a while. Creepiest was an old guy we handled to the police for taking candid photographs of teenage cosplayers. Girls, cosplay all you want, but please know that there are pervs out there and they will take upskirt photos of you when you're in your skimpy schoolgirl costumes. Guys too, but it's almost always creeps going after female minors. Stay safe, and we recommend that you wear plain black shorts under those skirts. We also confiscated a wooden plank with 6-inch long rusty nails hammered because the guy in plain clothes said it was part of his costume. I don't think so. I sell artwork at cons and take commissions. Most people just tell me what they want and then I do the best I can to produce it. Some of them admit they don't have any money and just want to tell me what they like of my work, and that's okay too. One time though, I was watching my table when some guy comes over and asks if I do commissions. Yes I do. I tell him. I'm about to show him my price guide when he whips out this business card styled picture of this brown anthropomorphic dog with a vine growing around one arm and holds it out to me. My character is very unique. His whole village is dead, and he's the last of his kind. He's part plant. I want you to tell me why you'd be the best person to draw him for me. This guy literally wanted me to beg to draw his character. I told him my rates. He left. Maybe not your typical cringe, but I've attended Denver Comic-Con a few years, and while we were waiting to get in the convention center, some guy on the street yells, "It's not Halloween yet." And I'm pretty sure not one person laughed. I mean, it's Comic-Con. It's kind of hard to tease others for cosplaying when literally everyone's doing it. Not my worst, but one time I was cosplaying Sakura Haruno from Naruto Shippuden and had a grown woman probably in her 40s or 50s, yell at me to get my attention from across the floor just to say, "Hey Sakura, show us your crying jutsu." Like, I get it, you don't like her. But you know what? I worked hard on this costume because I like the character. You're not a 16-year-old making a shitty joke. You're an adult picking on someone for liking a character. One time, I was cosplaying as Felicia from Darkstalkers, as a character who's a cat girl. This girl at a con just ran up out of nowhere screaming, "Glomp to the neck, gal!" as she launched herself at me and practically tackled me. She then stood up there hugging me without permission as I tried to extricate myself, and she stank so bad. Also, same con, same costume, some obese guy who was watching a door to check for badges told me I couldn't come in until I hugged him.